The night sky over Earth was calm. Stars shined quietly above the blue planet, unaware of the danger moving toward it. In the deep cold of space, far beyond the moon's orbit, something stirred. A shadow. No. A fleet. Hundreds of alien warships glided forward in perfect silence. Their hulls were black, almost invisible against the darkness. They carried weapons that could break continents and engines that could cross star systems in days. No human radar detected them. No warning came from the satellites. The aliens had hidden themselves inside the shadow of a comet, using its tail to mask their approach. They had done this before, on other worlds, to other civilizations. None had survived. At exactly 02:17 Earth Standard Time, the first shot was fired. It was not a beam, not a missile, but a burning spear of light that tore through the sky over the Pacific Ocean. In 1 second, it passed through the upper atmosphere. In 2 seconds, it struck a power station in Japan, vaporizing it completely. Then came more strikes over Europe, Asia, and North America. Communication towers collapsed. Energy grids went dark. On the streets, people screamed and ran. In the skies, strange glowing shapes appeared, alien drones, fast as lightning, cutting through aircraft like paper. The alien fleet had reached Earth's orbit, their giant warships locking position above the planet's largest cities. In the United Nations Emergency Chamber, chaos erupted. Leaders shouted over each other, demanding answers. "Where are they from? Why did they attack? Where is our defense?" But one man in the corner did not speak. His name was Admiral Elias Kane, commander of Earth's Deep Defense Network. He stood still, watching the holographic map of the world flicker and fade as systems went offline. Finally, he spoke, his voice calm and steady. "They struck first," he said. "Exactly as we expected." The other leaders turned to him in shock. "Expected? What do you mean expected? Our defenses are falling." Kane's eyes narrowed. "Phase 1 has begun. We do not fight them here. Not yet." Far below the surface of the Atlantic Ocean, hidden for decades, a massive steel door began to open. From the darkness, water poured into an enormous dry dock. Inside sat something no alien had ever seen. It was not just a ship. It was a monster of steel and power. Over 6 kilometers long, armored with plates thicker than any battleship in history, its engines glowed with a faint blue light. The humans had called it HSS Olympus, the first Titan-class warship. For years, the Olympus had been kept secret, its construction known only to a few in Earth's military command. While the world believed humanity's ships were small and weak, engineers in hidden bases built this giant in silence, using alien technology captured from a strange probe decades earlier. That probe had been dismissed publicly as space debris, but in truth it was a warning, a sign that something was coming. Now, as alien ships hovered above Earth, raining destruction on its cities, the Olympus slowly rose from the ocean. The waves crashed around its armored hull as it broke the surface, water streaming down its sides. On the alien flagship, Commander Var of the Zorath Dominion watched the battle through his tactical display. His ships had destroyed dozens of human satellites and crippled major cities, but then his sensors flickered. Something huge was emerging from the ocean. At first, he thought it was a building collapsing into the sea. Then it moved. "Report," Var barked. One of his officers turned in confusion. "Unknown vessel. Detected. Size impossible. It is larger than any human ship on record. Energy readings extreme." Var's voice turned cold. "Destroy it." Dozens of alien warships broke formation and dove toward the Olympus, weapons charging. But the Titan did not run. It simply aimed. On the bridge of the Olympus, Captain Sarah Drake stood before a massive display screen. Her crew worked in silence, their faces lit by the glow of control panels. "Targeting solutions locked," said her weapons officer. "Fire," Drake ordered. The first shot from the Olympus was like nothing the aliens had seen before. A beam of white energy lanced out, not like a slow laser, but instant, faster than light, connecting ship to target in less than a second. An alien destroyer exploded into burning fragments before it could fire a single shot. Then the Olympus fired again, and again, each time erasing another ship from existence. From the alien flagship, Var's eyes widened. "Retreat those units," he commanded. But it was too late. In under a minute, nearly half the attacking group was gone. The Olympus's armor took hits, but the blasts faded harmlessly against its shield arrays. In cities below, humans looked up through smoke and fire to see the glowing shape in the sky, Earth's first true warship, fighting back. Hope, something thought lost hours ago, returned in their hearts. But Kane knew this was not victory. Not yet. In the command bunker, he watched the alien fleet pull back slightly, regrouping into a tight formation. This was only the first wave. The Zorath Dominion would not leave so easily. As the Olympus hovered in low orbit, its weapons glowing, Kane spoke into the comms. "Captain Drake, hold position. We're not revealing everything yet." "Yes, sir," Drake replied. Then, without warning, a new signal appeared on Earth's deep space sensors, much stronger than the one before. Kane's eyes darkened as the readings came in. Another fleet was inbound. Not hundreds of ships. "Thousands. They will come again," Kane said quietly. "And when they do, we will be ready." High above Earth, the alien flagship turned away, vanishing into the black, but not in fear. Commander Var was smiling. "Interesting," he muttered to himself. "The prey has teeth. This will be fun." Deep in the ocean base, far from the eyes of the world, two more massive doors began to open. The Olympus was not alone, and so the war truly began. Far above Earth, the alien fleet regrouped after their first encounter with the Olympus. In the alien flagship's war room, Commander Var studied the battle records in silence. The human ship was far larger and stronger than expected. Its weapons had erased his destroyers in seconds. No known human technology could do that. "They hid this from us," he thought. "If they hid one ship, how many more?" But on Earth, the mood was different. In the underground bunker, Admiral Kane sat before a wide tactical display. Around him, operators whispered as new alerts came in. The alien fleet had pulled back, but only to wait for reinforcements. A far greater threat was approaching. Yet Kane's face was calm. "They think we only have the Olympus," he said. "Let them believe that." He turned to a secure console and entered a code known to only 3 people on Earth. Deep below mountains, oceans, and remote islands, lights began to flash red. Massive steel doors unlocked for the first time in decades. Inside were the results of Earth's most secret project, Project Iron Shield. Years ago, when the alien probe was found in the Arctic ice, the world was told it was a strange meteor. The truth was far more dangerous. Scientists discovered that the probe was scanning Earth's defenses, sending data to deep space. That was when the leaders of Earth knew the universe was not empty. They formed the Deep Defense Network and ordered the construction of hidden arsenals, war machines unlike anything seen before. These were built in secrecy far from public eyes, buried under oceans, mountains, and deserts. Only a handful of people knew the truth. Now the time had come to reveal them. In the Pacific Ocean near a remote island, a massive platform rose from beneath the waves, carrying with it a sleek silver warship shaped like an arrowhead, the HSS Ares. Faster than the Olympus and armed with rail cannons that could punch holes through moons, it shimmered under the morning sun. Thousands of miles away in the Sahara Desert, the sands began to shake. Panels hidden under centuries of dust slid apart, revealing the HSS Leviathan, a dreadnought painted black to blend with the void of space. Its engines roared to life, sending a storm of sand into the air. Above Antarctica, a swarm of small, dark objects lifted from hidden silos. They were the Valkyries, AI-controlled attack drones armed with plasma warheads. They moved in perfect formation, vanishing into the upper atmosphere. In the Olympus's command center, Captain Drake received the incoming transmissions. Her eyes widened as the images appeared on her screens, ship after ship rising from hidden bases all over the planet. "We've been building them all this time?" she asked. Kane's voice came over the comms. "The day we found the probe, we knew war was coming. We knew they would strike first, but we planned to strike last." In orbit, the alien sensors began detecting strange energy signatures from Earth's surface. Their scanners tried to focus, but were blocked by powerful jamming signals. Commander Var frowned. "What are they hiding down there?" he muttered. His second officer looked up nervously. "Sir, new ships are launching from the planet. Multiple launches, dozens, possibly hundreds." Var's eyes narrowed. So, the prey had a den all along. He ordered his fleet to tighten formation and prepare for heavy resistance. Back on Earth, Kane stood in the war room as a large map of the planet lit up with green icons. "Deploy Phase 2, he ordered. In seconds, the Ares, the Leviathan, and dozens of smaller strike craft began moving toward pre-assigned positions in space. The plan was not to wait for the aliens to come closer. The plan was to meet them far from Earth, hit them before they could form up, and keep them on the defensive. But this plan carried risks. Humanity had never fought a battle in deep space against a force of this size. They would be outnumbered many times over. Yet Kane knew hesitation was worse than risk. The alien reinforcements were still days away. Those days were the only window humanity would get. In the hangar of the Olympus engineers worked to reload. Its main weapon, the Star Lance. The weapon drew power from a fusion core the size of a skyscraper, and each shot required hours to prepare. Captain Drake walked through the hangar, her boots echoing on the metal floor. She paused to watch the massive weapon modules being locked into place. "We'll need every shot to count," she said quietly. In the Pacific, the Ares completed its launch sequence and rose into the sky, water trailing from its armored hull. In the Sahara, the Leviathan's dark form left the desert floor, casting a shadow over the dunes. In Antarctica, the Valkyrie. Drones split into multiple attack formations, disappearing into the cold air. Civilians across the world watched the skies in shock as strange shapes passed overhead. Many thought these were alien ships at first, but when they saw the Earth emblems on the hulls, hope spread again. For the first time since the attack began, humans felt they could fight back. But in the alien flagship, Var was not afraid. He studied the data and smiled slowly. "They have numbers, but not enough. The real war begins when our full armada arrives." Yet even as he said it, something in the data caught his eye. One of the human ships was emitting a frequency his sensors could barely register. It was not standard communication. It was something else. Some kind of signal moving faster than light toward a point deep in space. "Trace that signal," Var ordered sharply. His officers worked quickly, and soon a star map appeared. The signal was heading toward a location uncharted in their records. Var leaned closer. "What is there?" he asked. The officer swallowed. "Nothing, sir, just empty space." Var's eyes narrowed. "No, not empty. They're calling someone." Back in the bunker, Kane received confirmation that all Phase 2 assets were in position. "Good," he said. "Now we wait for them to make the next move. And when they do..." He paused, his voice turning cold. "We will hit them where it hurts." Far above Earth, in the shadow of the moon, another massive object began to move, something that had been hidden there for 50 years. The aliens had no idea it existed. For now, it stayed silent. The cold void between Earth and the incoming alien reinforcements was silent, but that silence would not last. The human fleet, now revealed in part, moved into position like hunters in the dark. The Olympus led the formation, its massive silhouette, blotting out stars. The Ares and Leviathan flanked it, smaller strike ships and Valkyrie drones filling the gaps. They did not wait near Earth. Admiral Kane's strategy was to meet the enemy halfway before the alien armada could unite with the first wave still orbiting the planet. In the Olympus's bridge, Captain Drake stood over the tactical display. Red icons marked the alien ships ahead. "We have visual on the first reinforcement vanguard," her sensors officer reported. Drake's voice was steady. "All ships, prepare for combat. We strike hard. We strike first, and we leave nothing behind." The alien vanguard, unaware of the trap, cruised forward with shields down, confident in their numbers. Commander Var's orders to them had been simple: link with the main fleet and crush the humans in one overwhelming assault. But before they could even detect the human fleet, the Olympus fired. The star lance blazed, releasing a beam of pure energy faster than light. It speared through space and struck the lead alien cruiser, splitting it apart in a flash of molten metal and plasma. The Ares fired next, its rail cannons hurling tungsten slugs at incredible speed. The projectiles tore through 2 destroyers in seconds, the impact so violent that fragments ripped into ships behind them. Then the Valkyries moved. The AI drones came in fast, weaving between enemy ships and planting plasma charges on their hulls. In less than 20 seconds, explosions rippled across the alien formation. The Vanguard tried to respond, but their systems were in chaos. Shields came up too late. Their weapons fired wildly, hitting their own damaged ships in the confusion. On the alien flagship orbiting Earth, Var watched the incoming data with disbelief. "They ambushed them," he muttered. His second officer swallowed nervously. "Sir, the Vanguard's losses are already at 50%. Var clenched, his jaw. "Send reinforcements now. If we let them pick us apart before the main armada arrives, we risk—" He stopped as another alert flashed. One of the human ships, the Leviathan, was charging a weapon they had never seen before. In deep space, the Leviathan's black hull shimmered as its forward cannon powered up. Inside, gunners locked the target, the largest enemy carrier in the Vanguard. The shot was not a beam or a slug. It was a sphere of compressed gravitational energy. When it hit, the carrier's hull twisted like paper, folding in on itself before vanishing into nothing. Shock rippled through the alien fleet. In the Olympus, Captain Drake gave new orders. "Push through their center. Split them in 2. Make them run." The human fleet surged forward, tearing through the alien formation. Valkyries cut off escape routes while the Ares and Leviathan hit the flanks. The Olympus targeted the enemy command ship, hitting it with the Star Lance. The blast tore the vessel in half, and its wreck spun silently into the void. For the first time, the Zorath ships broke formation. Many tried to flee, jumping to short range. Warp points. But the humans had planned for this. Hidden near those exit points, stealth frigates uncloaked and fired mines into the warp corridors. Several fleeing alien ships never emerged on the other side. In less than 12 minutes, the Vanguard was gone. Not a single human ship had been lost. Only minor damage marked the hulls of the Ares and Leviathan. Back in the Olympus's bridge, the crew stared at the tactical screen in stunned silence. Hundreds of red icons had simply vanished. Drake's voice broke the quiet. "Status? All systems operational," replied her engineer. "Minimal damage." Admiral Kane's voice came over the comms, low and firm. "Good work, but don't celebrate yet. That was only the front line. The real storm is still coming." Far across the void, the main alien armada continued its approach. Thousands of warships moved together in perfect formation. Their sheer size darkened the starfield. At their heart was something new, a colossal warship larger than even the Olympus, bristling with weapons. The Zorath called it the World Breaker. It had only been deployed once in their history to erase an entire star system. Now it was coming for Earth. On the alien flagship, Var received a private transmission from the Armada's supreme commander. The alien's voice was deep and cold. "You underestimated them. Do not fail again." Var bowed his head slightly. "They are stronger than expected, but we will crush them when the full fleet arrives." The commander's eyes narrowed. "Do not forget, this is not only about conquest. The Ancient Ones are watching." The words sent a chill through Var. He ended the transmission without reply. Back near Earth, the human fleet regrouped. Kane studied the incoming enemy data. "That ship," he said, pointing to the massive icon in the center, "is our biggest threat. If it reaches firing range, cities will fall before we can stop it." Drake looked at him through the comms feed. "Then we don't let it reach firing range." Kane nodded. "Agreed. Phase 3 will begin the moment they cross the interception line. Until then, keep your ships hidden. They think they've seen our hand. They haven't." But even as the humans prepared, the aliens made their own move. Deep in the black between stars, several cloaked Zorath strike groups had broken away from the Armada. They were heading for Earth's moon, targeting something hidden there. If they succeeded, the humans' greatest secret would be destroyed before it could even join the battle. The battlefield in deep space had fallen silent. Wreckage from the destroyed alien vanguard drifted slowly, glowing with fading heat. Human ships moved through the debris, scanning for survivors or hidden traps. Captain Drake stood on the Olympus bridge, her eyes fixed on the star map. The main alien armada was still moving toward them, larger and deadlier than anything humanity had ever faced. But she also knew something else. This was not just a war for Earth. It was a message to the entire galaxy. Admiral Kane entered the command center of the Deep Defense bunker, carrying a secure data drive. He placed it on the main console. "Prepare global transmission," he ordered. Technicians turned to look at him in shock. "Sir, you mean to everyone? Not just our allies?" Kane's face was like stone. "To everyone. Human, alien, neutral, it doesn't matter. They need to hear this." In the Olympus's communication bay, engineers connected to deep-range beacons hidden across the solar system. Massive antennas unfolded from asteroids and moons, creating a network capable of sending a single message to thousands of star systems. Kane stepped before the camera. The lights dimmed, the screen flickered, and his voice went out across the void. "To every listening world," he began, his tone calm but sharp. "This is Admiral Elias Kane of Earth. You have heard of the attack on our planet. The Zorath Dominion struck first, without warning, without mercy. They burned our cities and killed our people. They thought we were weak. They were wrong. This is our answer." He gave a signal and the broadcast cut to battle footage. Alien warships burning in the void, the Olympus firing the Star Lance, the Leviathan folding a carrier into nothing. The images spoke for themselves. Then the feed returned to Kane's. "To the Zorath and any who stand with them, your time is over. To those who fear them, you have allies now. And to those who think Earth will fall..." He leaned forward slightly, his voice ablade. "Try us." Across distant star systems, alien leaders watched in silence. On trade worlds, civilians whispered to each other in disbelief. Few had ever seen a race strike back at the Dominion so quickly, so brutally. Some felt fear, others felt hope. But far away, deep in the alien capital, the Zorath High Council was furious. In their grand chamber, members shouted over each other, demanding immediate retaliation. They broadcast their defiance to the entire galaxy. one counselor roared. "They are rallying others against us!" Another slammed a clawed hand on the table. "Then we will make an example of them! No survivors! No mercy!" Commander Var stood at the edge of the chamber, silent. He knew the Council's rage was dangerous, but he also knew something they didn't. The humans have more ships, he thought, and they are not afraid to use them. While the Council debated, Var received a private report from his forward scouts. It showed something alarming: small, fast human craft slipping past the edges of Zorath territory, scanning their defenses. The humans were not just defending. They were preparing to hit back where it hurt. Back on Earth, Kane met with his inner command circle. "The broadcast will force them to act fast," he said. "They will try to destroy us before other species dare to join us. That means they will send everything they have." Captain Drake's hologram appeared beside the table. "Then we hit them before they hit us," she said simply. Kane nodded. "Phase 4 begins now. Recon units will move into their supply lanes. We'll disrupt their fuel, their ammunition, their communication networks. I want them bleeding before the main battle even starts." Meanwhile, in the shadow of the moon, the cloaked Zorath strike groups moved closer to their hidden target. Buried deep in a lunar crater was one of Earth's most secret weapons, Project Black Sun, a long-range energy cannon capable of vaporizing a fleet from millions of kilometers away. Its construction had been kept hidden even from most of Earth's own military. The aliens had learned of it through unknown means, and now they intended to destroy it before it could fire. In the lunar base control room, operators noticed strange readings on the outer sensors. "We've got movement," one whispered. "It's faint, but—" The wall shook as the first alien missiles struck. The lunar defense turrets came, alive, firing streams of plasma into the darkness. Cloaked alien ships appeared, their outlines shimmering as they dodged incoming fire. The battle for the moon had begun. On the Olympus, Drake received the emergency signal. "We have enemy units attacking the moon. They're after Black Sun," her comms officer reported. Drake didn't hesitate. "Helm, set course for lunar. Defense! All available ships, follow us!" The human fleet turned sharply, engines flaring. In minutes, they were between the moon and the alien strike group. The Ares led the charge, rail cannons shredding the first enemy frigate. The Leviathan's gravitational weapon pulled another into pieces. Valkyries swarmed the rest, forcing them into chaotic retreat. But one alien corvette broke through, diving straight toward the lunar surface. It was carrying a massive warhead. If it hit the base, Black Sun would be gone. "Target that corvette," Drake ordered. But the corvette moved fast, weaving between debris. The Olympus's main gun was still recharging. Time was running out. Then, from the shadows of the moon's far side, a beam of pure light tore through the void, slicing the corvette in half. Everyone on the Olympus froze. "That wasn't us," the weapons officer said quietly. Kane's voice came over the line. "That was Black Sun. They just fired a test shot." The alien survivors fled, leaving the humans in control of the moon. But the battle had revealed something important. The Zorath knew about Black Sun. Kane stood in the bunker, thinking. The message to the galaxy had been sent, but now the enemy would come harder, faster, and without restraint. He looked at the star map, the red swarm of the main alien armada closing in. They wanted to know if Earth could fight, he said, to himself. Now they know, and they will try to break us for it. In deep space, far from both Earth and the alien capital, an ancient listening post received Kane's broadcast. Its systems had been silent for thousands of years, but now they activated. A signal went out into the darkness, far beyond the galaxy's edge. Something old and powerful had heard humanity's words, and it was coming. In the cold emptiness beyond the outer planets, a single human warship floated motionless. The HSS Phantom, a stealth frigate painted black and equipped with advanced cloaking, waited in silence. Its crew barely spoke. Every system was running, at minimum power to avoid detection. On the tactical display, a red icon moved slowly through the darkness, a Zorath convoy of supply ships escorted by light cruisers. The convoy was carrying fuel, weapons, and food for the main alien armada, heading toward Earth. If those supplies reached the enemy, the coming battle would be much harder to win. Captain Vera of the Phantom studied the screen. "We have one shot at this," she said quietly. "Once we attack, they'll call for help." Her weapons officer nodded. "Charges are ready." The Phantom moved forward, its engines almost silent. It slipped into the convoy's path without being seen. When the aliens passed, Vera gave the order. "Fire!" A burst of energy ripped through the void, striking the lead cruiser and tearing it apart in a flash. Before the aliens could react, the Phantom unleashed a swarm of guided torpedoes. They weaved between the supply ships, striking engines and cargo holds. Explosions lit the darkness. The convoy scattered in panic, but the Phantom vanished back into the black, its cloaking reactivating. Within minutes, the entire supply group was gone. Back on Earth, Admiral Kane received the report. A rare smile crossed his face. "Good. That's one less fleet to worry about." But this was only one strike. Across the galaxy, other human stealth ships were doing the same, hunting the enemy far from home. The Ares ambushed a fuel depot on an asteroid, destroying it before the aliens could react. The Leviathan cut off a weapons convoy near a red dwarf star, leaving dozens of enemy warships stranded. The Valkyrie drones swarmed an unguarded communications hub, erasing all long-range links between Zorath fleets. In less than 3 days, the humans had crippled the Dominion's supply network in multiple sectors. Commander Var watched the reports pile up and felt a growing unease. "They are everywhere," he muttered. His officers looked at him nervously. "They strike and vanish before we can respond." Var slammed a clawed fist onto the table. "Then we make them chase us. We will lure them into a trap." He sent orders to one of his fleets to appear vulnerable, hoping to draw the humans into an ambush. But Kane had already predicted this. In the deep defense bunker, he studied intercepted alien transmissions. "They're trying to bait us," he told Drake through the secure channel. "We won't bite. Instead, we'll make them bleed in places they can't defend." Drake nodded. "Understood." She turned to her crew. "Set course for the Delta 9 mining colony. The aliens will need its ore for their weapons. We take it out, we slow their production for months." The Olympus arrived at Delta 9 under full stealth, its massive frame hidden against the glare of the nearby star. Alien miners worked in huge facilities carved into the rock, unaware of the danger. When the Olympus opened fire, the first blast shattered an entire mining platform. Secondary explosions tore through the rest. In minutes, the colony was reduced to drifting rubble. The Zorath Dominion was furious. Messages from their capital screamed for faster movement of the Armada. The Supreme Commander gave a single order. "No more delays. Crush Earth now." The alien fleet increased speed, engines burning at full power. But that speed came at a cost. Ships without resupply began running low on fuel and ammunition. Their formation started to break. Smaller groups lagged behind, becoming easy prey for human hunters. In one sector, a lone alien cruiser found itself cut off. Before it could call for help, 3 human strike ships dropped out of warp around it. The fight lasted less than 2 minutes. Every victory boosted human morale. Across Earth, news channels broadcast images of burning alien ships, proof that humanity could win. Civilians volunteered for service in record numbers. Factories worked day and night to produce more drones, more weapons, more ships. But not all news was good. In a secure chamber beneath the UN, Kane listened to a report from his intelligence chief. We've confirmed strange energy readings from the far edge of the galaxy. They match no known alien technology, except for the artifacts from the ancient ones. Kane's expression darkened. So it's true. They're watching. The ancient ones were a mystery even to the Zorath, whispered about in old stories as a race that ruled the stars before any current empire existed. If they were moving again, the war could take a far darker turn. Still, Kane pushed the thought aside. The immediate threat was the alien armada. The hunt continued. In the asteroid belt, the Phantom struck another convoy, planting mines in the warp lanes. Near Jupiter, the Leviathan destroyed a fuel station hidden inside a hollow moon. The Ares led a daring raid on a Zorath forward base, escaping moments before it exploded. In every battle, the humans were learning more about alien tactics, about their weaknesses, about the way their ships handled under stress. This knowledge would be vital when the main fight began. On the alien flagship, Var received yet another grim report. Convoy 72 destroyed. Convoy 84 missing. Convoy 91 failed to arrive. He stared at the holographic map. Red routes marked their planned supply lines, now almost entirely gone. Enough, he growled. We strike now, supplies or no supplies. His decision would force the Armada to arrive at Earth sooner than planned, with some ships underarmed and underfueled. It was exactly what Kane wanted. But Kane also knew there was a risk. Desperate enemies fought with reckless fury, and desperate enemies made mistakes, but they also caused heavy damage before falling. In the Olympus's bridge, Drake prepared her crew. When they come, they'll come hard. They'll throw everything at us. But remember, this is our sky. We've bled them. We've broken their lines. And when the time comes, we finish it. As the human fleet regrouped near the moon, the first sensors picked up the approaching armada. Thousands of alien warships filled the screen, their formations stretching across the void. At the center, the massive silhouette of the World Breaker loomed like a dark sun. Kane stood in the war room, watching the swarm draw closer. The hunt is over, he said quietly. Now the real fight begins. In the war room, deep under Earth's surface, the air felt heavy. Admiral Kane stood before the large tactical display, watching the alien armada draw closer with every hour. Yet his mind was not only on the Zorath Dominion. The strange energy, readings his intelligence team had reported were gnawing at him. They were faint, but precise. Too precise to be random space noise, and they matched something from the restricted files, an old record from the first deep space exploration missions. Kane remembered the report well. The explorers had found ruins on a dead world, carved with symbols no one could read. The ruins emitted the same energy signature. That report had been classified for decades, buried so deep most commanders never knew it existed. But Kane knew. And now the same signal was back, stronger than before, coming from a point beyond the known galaxy. He turned to his aide. "Get me Captain Drake. Secure channel." Minutes later, Drake's face appeared on the screen aboard the Olympus. She looked tired but alert. "You think it's them, don't you?" she asked. Kane didn't answer directly. "This war is about to become something else. The Zorath are a danger, yes, but if these readings are what I think they are, then they're only the beginning." Drake's eyes narrowed. "You mean the ancient ones?" Kane nodded. "We don't know what they want, but the timing isn't a coincidence. They stayed hidden for thousands of years. Now, right when the galaxy is in chaos, they stir. Out in the darkness, far from human and Zorath fleets, a single alien research vessel drifted above a shattered planet. Its crew of scientists examined, a massive crater filled with glowing structures. The lead scientist, a Zorath elder named Taharvos, recorded a message for his superiors. "The energy source is active again. This world was dead, but something has awakened beneath the surface." As they worked, a shape appeared in the black sky, something vast and silent. It wasn't on their sensors. It wasn't sending any signals. Then, without warning, the entire research vessel split apart as if sliced by an invisible blade. No explosion, no sound, just destruction. The glowing structures below pulsed brighter. Somewhere in the void, a presence stirred. Back on Earth, Kane received fragments of that event through intercepted alien transmissions. He studied the images of the strange destruction. "That's not Zorath weaponry," he muttered. "That's something else." Meanwhile, the alien armada continued to advance. Var was forcing his ships forward even as their fuel ran low. He was determined to hit Earth before humans could destroy more of his fleets. But inside his command chamber, a different fear gnawed at him. One of his intelligence officers had shown him the same strange readings. Var knew the old legends, the stories of the ancient ones who had once ruled the galaxy with weapons that could erase planets without trace. Those stories were used to scare children, but now they felt real. Still, Var refused to slow down. "We crush the humans first," he told himself. "Then we deal with old ghosts." Out near the asteroid belt, the Phantom was on another mission, but this time its orders were different. Captain Vera had been given coordinates far beyond normal patrol areas. The energy readings came from there. Her crew didn't know the full truth. They were told only that it was a high-priority investigation. After 3 days of silent travel, the Phantom emerged into an empty star system, or at least it looked empty. Then they saw it. Hanging in orbit around a barren planet was a structure so massive it blocked out part of the star. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a station. It looked like a fragment of something far older, covered in black metal and strange glowing lines. No life signs, no radio chatter, yet the Phantom's sensors were going wild. "It's like it's scanning us," the science officer whispered. Vieira didn't like the feeling. "Record everything, then we leave." But as they prepared to jump to warp, the ship's lights flickered. Systems began shutting down one by one. The engines froze. Communications went dead. A low hum filled the ship, so deep it could be felt in the bones. Then, just as suddenly, everything came back online. But the crew felt different, colder, as if something unseen had passed through them. Vera gave the order to retreat at full speed. When Kane received their data, he immediately classified it. "No one outside command sees this," he ordered. Drake contacted him privately. "If they're real, if they're waking up, we might be fighting 2 wars at once." Kane's voice was grim. "Or worse, one war that neither side can win." In the alien flagship, Var's sensors also picked up the structure the Phantom had seen, but from a different angle. His crew wanted to investigate, but Var refused. "We are not here for relics. Stay on course for Earth." Still, the thought of something else moving in the shadows made him uneasy. As the Armada pushed forward, both sides, human and alien, began noticing strange disappearances. Patrols vanished without a trace. Ships went silent mid-transmission. Some wreckage was found, but it showed no signs of battle, only smooth, perfect cuts through metal and hull. Whispers spread among crews. Some said the humans had a new weapon. Others claimed the Zorath had unleashed something from the ancient days. But the truth was that neither side was responsible. Out beyond the edge of mapped space, the Ancient Ones were awakening, and they were watching the war. Kane knew time was running out. "If they come into this fight, we may have to ally with the very enemy we're trying to destroy," he said to Drake. The idea was unthinkable, but war had a way of forcing impossible choices. For now, the human fleet prepared for the coming clash with the Zorath. But somewhere far away, deep within, the ruins of a forgotten world, massive eyes opened for the first time in millennia, and the universe felt smaller than it had ever been. The first warning came from the lunar defense stations. Massive red blips appeared on their radar, moving faster than anything the human crews had seen before. The Zorath Armada had arrived. Across Earth's skies, sirens wailed as the fleet dropped out of warp near Mars and began their final approach. From orbit, the alien ships looked like giant blades of black metal, sharp and glinting in the sunlight. Each one carried enough firepower to shatter cities. Admiral Kane stood inside the Earth Defense Command Center, staring at the real-time feed. The alien flagship was leading the attack, and Kane knew Var was on it. The man who had sworn to burn Earth's skies red was now almost close enough to do it. "Signal all fleets," Kane ordered. "Form defensive lines at high orbit. We hold them here or Earth burns." On the Olympus, Captain Drake's crew prepared for the fight of their lives. The ship's rail cannons were fully loaded, and missile bays were armed. She could feel the tension in the air. Every crew member knew the first minutes of the battle would decide who lived and who died. Out near the asteroid belt, the Phantom was rushing back to join the fight. Captain Vieira had pushed her ship's engines to the limit. She knew the strange encounter with the massive structure was still a mystery, but there was no time to dwell on it now. The Zorath were coming for Earth, and every ship was needed. In space above the blue planet, the first shots were fired. Human destroyers launched long-range missiles, their trails cutting bright lines through the void. Alien warships answered with beams of white-hot plasma, slicing through the darkness. Explosions lit up the black sky. Dozens of ships on both sides went down in the opening minutes, their wreckage spinning silently. But then something strange happened. As the battle raged, the sky above Earth began to glow, not from fire, but from something else entirely. A deep crimson light spread across the upper atmosphere, as if the sun itself had been replaced. At first, both humans and aliens thought it was a new weapon, but scans showed no heat, no radiation, only light. Var, aboard his flagship, watched the phenomenon with narrowed eyes. "That is not human," he growled. On the Olympus, Drake's science officer reported something worse. "The energy signature, it matches the readings from the ancient ruins," she said. Kane, receiving the same report from another ship, clenched his fists. "They're here," he whispered. The ancient ones had arrived, and they had chosen to appear right in the middle of the biggest battle in human history. The red sky deepened, and then came the hum, a low, resonating sound that carried through ship hulls, into the bones of every soldier and crew member. Weapons fire slowed as confusion spread. Ships from both sides began losing power, their lights flickering, their systems stalling. Then, from the blood-colored clouds above Earth, shapes emerged. They were massive, larger than the biggest human supercarriers, and unlike any ship design in known history. Their surfaces were smooth and black, glowing with thin red lines like veins of molten light. They moved silently, without thrusters, as if the laws of physics didn't apply to them. The ancient ones didn't broadcast demands, didn't send warnings. They simply acted. One of their ships passed near a Zorath cruiser, and without firing a shot, the cruiser split into 3 perfect pieces, drifting apart like broken glass. A human battleship tried to open fire, but its missiles froze mid-space, turning to dust before they could even hit the target. Kane watched the carnage from his command center, his voice cold. They're not choosing sides, they're removing anything in their way. In the alien flagship, Var's fury boiled over. "All ships, target the black vessels," he shouted. But his weapons officers hesitated. Nothing they fired made a dent. The ancient ones moved with terrifying grace, erasing ships with invisible blows, ignoring the chaos around them. Drake's voice came through Kane's calm. "If we keep fighting each other, we'll both be wiped out. We need a ceasefire now." Kane knew she was right, but convincing Var would be nearly impossible. Still, he opened a wideband channel to the Zorath fleet. "This is Admiral Kane of Earth Defense. You can keep fighting us and die, or we join forces and maybe live. Decide fast. Var appeared on the hollow screen, his face a mask of rage. I came to burn your world, he growled, not to stand beside you. But then, as if on cue, one of the ancient ships erased an entire Zorath battle group in seconds. Var's expression hardened. Temporary alliance, he spat. Only until they are destroyed. The humans and Zorath began coordinating, their ships pulling back into mixed formations. It was a desperate gamble, two mortal enemies turning, their weapons on a far older, far deadlier foe. The Olympus and the alien flagship moved side by side, their guns firing in unison. The ancient ships, however, seemed unaffected. Their hulls absorbed all damage, and their movements were faster than scanners could track. Still, something was changing. The red light in the sky pulsed faster now, and with each pulse, more human and Zorath ships lost power. Kane realized the truth before anyone else. They're not fighting us, he said. They're testing us. As if to prove his point, one of the ancient ships stopped directly between the Olympus and the alien flagship. It hovered there for a long moment, as if studying them. Then a voice, not through comms, but inside every mind, spoke a single sentence. You are not ready. And just like that, the red light vanished. The massive black vessels began to fade, dissolving into the air as if they were never there. The hum disappeared. The skies returned to normal. But the silence that followed was worse than any battle. On both sides, crews sat frozen at their stations, breathing hard. Kane slowly leaned back in his chair, his voice low. This isn't over. They'll be back. Var didn't answer, but deep down, he felt the same truth. For now, the battle was over. The war between human and Zorath would continue, but somewhere out there, something far older had turned its gaze upon them. And next time, they might not leave anyone alive. The battlefield above Earth was silent now, but it was not the silence of peace. It was the heavy, uneasy quiet that comes after something far worse than war. Wreckage from both human and Zorath ships drifted in orbit, glowing faintly as sunlight touched twisted metal. The red sky was gone, but the memory of it burned in every mind. Admiral Kane stood at the main viewing deck of Earth Defense Command, watching the slow rotation of debris. He knew the truth. If the Ancient Ones had wanted to destroy them all, they could have done it in minutes. They had left for a reason, and Kane feared that reason was more dangerous than any war with the Zorath. The ceasefire between humans and Zorath was official, but nobody believed it would last. On the alien flagship, Var paced like a caged predator, his claws tapping the metal floor. His officers avoided his gaze. He had come to crush humanity, and now he found himself forced into an alliance with them. In his mind, the Ancient Ones were an insult, beings who had dismissed both species as unworthy. That humiliation burned deeper than any wound. On the Olympus, Captain Drake gathered her senior officers in the briefing room. The room still smelled of burned circuits from the battle. We're not friends with the Zorath, she said, her voice firm. But we need them right now. The Ancient Ones are out there. And next time they come, we need to be ready. Her crew nodded, but their eyes were wary. Fighting alongside the Zorath went against everything they had trained for. Still, orders were orders. The first meeting between human and Zorath commanders was tense. Kane and Var faced each other through a secure hololink, their expressions hard. We share intel, Kane said. No lies, no traps. If either of us tries something, the Ancient Ones will destroy us both. Var's eyes narrowed. Do not think this makes us allies. The moment this threat is gone, I will finish what I started. Kane didn't flinch. Then you'd better hope they arrive after you're ready. The uneasy agreement was set. Human and Zorath ships began moving into mixed patrol formations around the Sol system. Both sides sent scouts deep into space to search for any sign of the Ancient Ones. Days passed without contact, but tension never left. On Mars, human engineers worked side by side with Zorath technicians to adapt alien shielding tech to human hulls. The work was clumsy at first. Two species that had been trying to kill each other now forced to share tools and knowledge. But slowly, progress came. One evening, Drake walked through the Olympus hangar and saw a group of her pilots speaking quietly with Zorath fighter crews. The conversation was awkward but civil. She realized that soldiers often understood each other more than politicians ever could. Meanwhile, intelligence reports began to suggest something strange. The Ancient Ones hadn't appeared anywhere else in the galaxy. No other empire had seen the red sky. No other fleets had been tested. Kane didn't believe in coincidences. "They chose us," he told Drake. "This wasn't random. We were targeted." In the Zorath War Council, Var was having similar thoughts. His advisors whispered that the Ancient Ones might see humanity and Zorath as dangerous enough to be worth testing. That idea made Var's blood boil, but it also sparked a darker thought. If they passed this test, what then? As the days turned to weeks, strange signals began appearing on the edge of the Sol system. They were faint, rhythmic, almost like a pulse. Both human and Zorath scientists struggled to decode them. But one fact was clear. The signals were not natural. They were coming from deep space, far beyond the range of normal travel. The Alliance fleet gathered at Titan Station, the largest human outpost near Saturn, to plan a response. Kane stood before the joint commanders. "We follow the signal," he said. "If it's a trap, we deal with it together. If it's a message, we find out what it says before the Ancient Ones return." Var agreed, but with a warning. "If you betray me in their territory, human, there will be no place in the galaxy for you to hide." The combined fleet began the journey. The sight was unlike anything in history. Human carriers flying in formation beside Zorath dreadnoughts, fighter wings of both species weaving between them. For a brief moment, the galaxy's two greatest enemies moved as one, but unity was only on the surface. On the Olympus, Drake received encrypted orders from Kane, orders she could not share with the Zorath. If they found ancient technology, they were to secure it for Earth first, no matter the cost. At the same time, Var's flagship carried its own secret orders: take anything of value, and if necessary, cripple the human ships before they returned. The pulse signal grew stronger as they approached a dead star on the edge of known space. Orbiting it was something massive, something ancient. It was not a planet or a ship, but a ring, an enormous structure of black metal, its surface carved with glowing red patterns. It spun slowly, casting faint shadows across the void. The fleet stopped at a safe distance. Kane stared at the image on the screen. "That's not a station," he said. "That's a gate." Before anyone could respond, the ring's surface began to glow brighter. A low hum filled the comms, the same hum they had heard during the red sky. Ships across the fleet shuddered as power levels fluctuated. On the Olympus, alarms blared. "Admiral, we're being scanned," Drake reported. The same was happening aboard the Zorath flagship. Var slammed a clawed fist onto the console. "They know we're here." Then, without warning, the center of the ring opened, a black void filled with swirling red light. From deep within it, something began to emerge. The Ancient Ones were not done testing them, and this time Kane knew the test would not end without blood. The black void within the ring grew larger until it seemed to swallow the stars behind it. A strange red glow pulsed from deep inside, casting long shadows across the fleet. Admiral Kane stood on the Olympus bridge, his eyes locked on the swirling light. "Hold position," he ordered, though every instinct told him to turn back. The hum in the comms grew louder, vibrating through the ship's metal frame. On the Zorath flagship, Var bared his teeth, staring into the anomaly. "That is no passage. That is a mouth," he growled. But retreat was not an option. Both sides had come too far, and the pulse signal had led them here for a reason. Suddenly, a voice, if it could be called that, echoed through every ship, not through speakers, but directly inside their minds. It was neither male nor female, neither warm nor cold. "You are not ready," it said. The words were slow, heavy, and each syllable pressed against their thoughts like iron. Crew members across both fleets cried out, clutching their heads. Kane gritted his teeth. "Who are you?" The voice did not answer the question. "Enter and be judged. Fail and be erased." The red light in the gate flared brighter, and then the pull began. Invisible force gripped the fleet, dragging them forward. Engines roared as pilots tried to resist, but nothing stopped the pull. One by one, ships were pulled into the black center, disappearing from sight. The Olympus shook violently as it crossed the threshold. For a moment, Drake thought they were falling through endless darkness. Then the view shifted, and they were somewhere else entirely. The stars outside were wrong, scattered like shattered glass. A massive battlefield stretched across the void, filled with the wrecks of ships older than anything humanity or the Zorath had ever built. Some were so huge they dwarfed even the largest dreadnoughts, their hulls carved with strange symbols. Many had holes burned clean through them, as if by weapons no one understood. Kane stepped closer to the viewport, his voice low. "This is a graveyard." The Zorath ships appeared beside them, equally silent at the sight. But before awe could take hold, motion appeared in the distance. Shapes, faint at first, then growing clearer. Ships, but not like any either side had seen before. They were sleek and sharp, their hulls shifting as if alive, with a faint red glow running through them like blood in veins. They moved without heat signatures, without engine trails, gliding toward the fleet in perfect silence. The voice returned. "Prove you are more than those who came before. Only the worthy leave this place." Then the attack began. The alien ships moved faster than anything in the galaxy. They cut through the formation, beams of white light slicing through human and Zorath vessels with surgical precision. Shields failed in seconds. Explosions lit the darkness. On the Olympus, Drake shouted orders, her voice barely heard over the alarms. "Evasive! All guns! Fire at will!" Railgun rounds tore into one of the attackers, but instead of shattering, its hull rippled like water, absorbing the impact before reshaping. Zorath plasma bursts hit another, burning holes that sealed instantly. "They're adapting," Kane realized. "Every shot we fire teaches them how to stop it." Var's fleet roared into the fight, their dreadnoughts unleashing everything they had. The void lit up with fire, but even the Zorath were being pushed back. For every alien ship destroyed, 2 more seemed to appear from the shadows of the wrecks. Drake's heart pounded as one of the enemy ships broke toward them. It fired a beam that carved a deep scar across the Olympus hull. "Admiral, we can't keep this up," she warned. "Then we change the game," Kane said. He ordered all ships to pull toward the largest derelict vessel in sight, a colossal warship, easily 10 times the size of the Olympus, its hull cracked open like a wound. "We use the wreck for cover," Kane said, "and maybe we find something inside that can help us." Var was skeptical, but he followed, his dreadnoughts covering the retreat. The enemy ships pursued, their movement unnervingly coordinated, like parts of a single mind. The fleet dived into the broken hull of the ancient ship. Inside, it was a maze of dark corridors, shattered chambers, and strange floating debris that shimmered faintly in the light. "Radiation levels spiking," a tech reported, "but nothing lethal yet." Kane ordered a boarding team to move ahead. Drake joined them, armed and ready. Var sent his own warriors. For the first time, human Marines and Zorath soldiers fought side by side, moving through the dark corridors, weapons raised. The silence inside was heavy, broken only by the occasional creak of metal. They passed what looked like a control chamber, its walls covered in dead screens. In the center, they found something that stopped them cold, a massive crystalline structure, cracked but still glowing faintly red. It pulsed in rhythm with the gate outside. "This is the heart," Drake said. "The power core," a Zorath engineer confirmed. "If we control this, we control the ship." But before they could approach, the voice returned, louder, sharper. "You seek power you cannot hold. Many before you have tried, all failed." The floor shook violently. From the shadows, forms emerged. Not ships this time, but humanoid. Figures made of the same shifting metal as the attackers outside. They moved silently, their eyes glowing red. The boarding team opened fire. The metal warriors moved like water, dodging, reforming, striking with blades grown from their own arms. Human rifles and Zorath plasma cut some down, but more kept coming. Kane's voice came through comms. "Drake Var, we have incoming. Those ships outside are closing in fast. You have minutes." The fight in the chamber was brutal. Blades clashed, plasma hissed, and gunfire echoed through the dark. Drake and Var fought side by side, the human captain and the alien warlord, covering each other without hesitation. Finally, with a desperate shot from a heavy Zorath cannon, the last of the metal warriors fell. The heart pulsed faster now, as if aware of them. "We take it," Var said, "and we leave." Drake hesitated. "Or we destroy it. If the Ancient Ones use this tech, maybe it's better gone." There was no time for debate. Kane's voice cut in again. "Enemy ships are breaking through. Decide now." Var stepped forward, claws on the crystal. Drake raised her weapon, aiming at the core. The choice between power and destruction hung in the air as the chamber shook harder, dust falling from the ceiling. And then, the core itself spoke, its voice deep and alien. "Choose wisely. Your future ends here or begins here." The chamber shook as the red crystal pulsed faster, light flashing across the cracked walls. Drake's hands tightened on her rifle, while Var's claws dug into the crystal's surface. The voice from the heart echoed in their minds, heavy and cold. "Your future ends here or begins here." Kane's voice cut through the comms, full of urgency. "Enemy ships are minutes away from breaching. Make the call, Captain." Drake's mind raced. Taking the core could give them the power to escape, but also give them a weapon too dangerous for either side. Destroying it might trap them here, forever. Var's deep voice rumbled. "With this, my people could crush our enemies for 1,000 years." Drake met his gaze. "And so could mine. That's exactly why it's dangerous." Outside the chamber, the sound of gunfire echoed again. More metal warriors were coming. The corridor lights flickered as if the ship itself was alive. Kane's voice rose again. "Drake, we're losing hull integrity!" She had seconds to decide. Then, unexpectedly, the crystal's light dimmed, and an image formed above it, a vision of planets burning, fleets destroyed, and a shadow falling over the galaxy. Both humans and Zorath ships were among the wreckage. "This is what follows greed," the voice said. "This is what follows the wrong choice." The vision shifted. Now the fleets of both species fought side by side against a greater threat, an endless swarm of the red glowing ships. The battle was desperate, but together they pushed the enemy back. "This is the path of unity," the voice continued. Drake's grip on her weapon tightened. She looked at Var. "We've been enemies for decades, but if we fight each other now, we both lose everything." Var's eyes narrowed, the muscles in his jaw tight. He hated the thought of alliance, but he hated defeat more. "If I agree," he said slowly, "this power is not for you alone. We share it, and we use it to destroy the Ancient Ones." The crystal pulsed brighter, almost like it was listening. Drake lowered her rifle. Agreed. Var stepped back, his claws withdrawing from the crystal. Together they placed their hands, claw and glove, on its surface. The heart flared with blinding light, flooding the chamber. Energy surged through the ship's ancient systems. Outside, the alien ships paused, their movements suddenly less coordinated. Kane's voice came through the comms, shocked. "Captain, the enemy fleet. They're breaking formation." The voice of the heart spoke again, stronger now. "You have chosen unity. The path is open." The massive derelict ship shuddered, and then its broken hull began to shift and seal. Plates of metal slid into place, weapon systems coming alive. The entire vessel powered up, its engines roaring to life after what could have been thousands of years. Kane's jaw dropped as the view outside changed. The wreck was no longer a corpse of metal, but a living warship. "We can control it," Drake said over the comms. "All ships, form on us." The Olympus and Var's dreadnoughts moved, alongside the massive warship as it turned toward the alien attackers. From the heart, power flowed into its weapons. Great beams of white fire erupted from its sides, cutting through enemy ships with ease. The alien vessels tried to adapt, but this time the weapons shifted faster than they could counter. They fell in burning pieces one after another. The Ancient One's fleet began to retreat, but the warship pursued, firing again and again. Kane's voice was fierce. "Push them back! Don't let a single one escape!" For the first time, humanity and the Zorath fought as one. In minutes, the battlefield was silent except for the hum of the great ship. Then the voice returned. "The test is passed. But remember, this gift demands balance. Fail to honor your pact, and the heart will take back what it has given." The red glow in the crystal faded to a steady pulse, almost like a heartbeat. Drake and Var stepped back from it, breathing hard. "We're not done yet," Drake said, "but this is a start." Var gave a slow nod. "For now, we fight together." The warship moved toward the Black Gate. Its engines flared, and with a single burst of light, the fleet passed through. Stars returned outside the viewport, familiar and bright. Kane exhaled, the tension in his shoulders easing. "We're home." But the relief was short-lived. On the far edge of the system, sensors lit up. More enemy ships were coming, larger and stranger than before. Drake's lips tightened. "They know we have the heart now, and they're coming for it." Var's voice was grim. "Then we show them that Earth and Zorath stand together." Kane grinned despite himself. "Let them come. This time, we're ready." The fleet formed up, the great ancient warship at its center, its weapons glowing with deadly light. And somewhere, deep in the core, the heart pulsed slowly, watching, waiting, and judging if the new alliance would stand or fall.